intervist Sneška Mihailović, Secretary General of Europa Nostra, from The Hague, where is the headquarters of this organization. Thank you very much, Mrs. Mihailović, for talking to Euronews Albania.
Thank you for inviting me. It is an honor to speak to you.
We have heard a lot lately about Europa Nostra and the fact that you have been somehow protecting and also very upset with the latest development of the demolishing of the National Theatre in Albania. What has been your role regarding this theatre?
As you know, Europa Nostra is the oldest and largest civil society organization taking care of cultural heritage in Europe. And we are known as the European voice of civil society committed to cultural heritage in Europe. And as such, we simply could not raise our voice in the face of a brutal demolition of the Albanian National Theatre in Tirana. You certainly know that we have included only recently the Albanian National Theatre in our list, which is called the list of 7 most endangered heritage sites in Europe. This is a list that we published every year, and we do it in partnership with the European Investment Bank Institute and with the support of the European Commission. We have published that list on the 24th of March. And that list was, and that decision was widely publicized, not only in Albania, but in whole of Europe. And this listing was made on the basis of the very serious concerns, and the nomination was made by Albanian civil society that was dedicated to preserving the National Theatre in Albania. And they were very, very upset about the idea that that important architectural building, but also cultural institution that exists already 80 years and also is located in the historic center of Tirana as part of a large urban architectural ensemble that is protected by the national law. So they were very, very upset about the idea that that could be demolished. And the role of Europa Nostra through the list of 7 most endangered is exactly to bring support, solidarity for civil society organizations in Albania. And the aim was, in fact, we were busy planning to send an expert mission to Tirana to have a wide series of talks, of course, with the authorities, national and local authorities, and also the experts and the civil society. We really wanted to hear in Tirana the voices of everybody. Of course, because of the pandemics, we couldn't come immediately. We had to wait the development of the situation. And I was also going to be part of that delegation, including also a board member of Europa Nostra, Professor Paolo Vitti, who is an eminent professor of the history of architecture, Guy Claus, our executive vice president, who has been working for many years in the European Investment Bank. So our mission was a mission of help. We wanted to help to find a solution to save the building, but at the same time not to be, in fact, a barrier to development of Tirana, but to ensure that such an important, iconic building and cultural place of remembrance and the place of memory of Tirana is preserved for present and future generations.
Mrs. Secretary General of Europa Nostra, how was done this evaluation of National Theatre of Albania as the 7 most endangered buildings? Did you go through a process, and who was involved in this process? What were the criteria, basically?
Yes, indeed. We have an eminent group of experts from not only Europe, but all over the world that are part of the advisory panel that met at the end of November in The Hague. We have received very extensive nominations from all over Europe. We have studied these nominations. We have asked questions. We have sent the questionnaire in order that the advisory panel can get the most most serious and most complete understanding of the situation on the ground. And the criteria for putting it on the list of 7, because we, of course, are concerned with any endangered heritage, but we'll put it in that important list of 7, is that the heritage site, first of all, has to have a European significance. Now, in the case of the National Theatre in Albania, there is no doubt that this site has not only a significance from Albania, but for Europe as a whole, because, as already I said, not only tangible aspect, the architectural aspect of it, but also because of its importance to the 80 years of intellectual, artistic life and cultural life in Tirana. The second criteria, that there is an imminent threat and very serious threat. In the case of the theatre, Hellas, we now see how right we were to think that there is an imminent threat that this place can be demolished, and demolished, Hellas, in such a brutal way. Mm-hmm. And then the third very important sort of criteria to place that on our list is also that there exists a strong community, a civil society, a large number of people in the country that are fighting to preserve the theatre. And you very well know that for more than 2 years, there has been almost a heroic campaign of a large number of artists, journalists, civic activists that have been guarding the theatre and seeking for the dialogue with the authorities, national and local, seeking to sort of find a solution that the theatre is preserved, and that whatever other plans have been made for a new theatre, that they definitely could have been done and that could have been built on another place. So all these criteria were very important ones, and all these were gathered in the nomination of the National Theatre in Albania, and it was unanimous. Our expert group that was composed of architects, art historians, urban planners, economists, etc. They were unanimous that this place deserved to be on our list of 7 most endangered sites.
What does, in your list, what does it make a European treasure and heritage in terms of the year when it was built, the architecture? Because the authorities in Albania, the government and the local, the Tirana mayor, they are saying that it wasn't listed in the national treasures and heritage buildings in the country, and also it was endangered to be demolished because it wasn't built properly as a theatre, and there was an inspection from the construction institute saying that it had the risk to be demolished because it was old and it didn't comply to the conditions to be a theatre.
We are very well aware of all these arguments that the Prime Minister, the Mayor of Tirana have been using to sort of justify somehow the case for the demolition of the theatre. Now, first of all, the fact that the whole issue of the legal protection is, we understand, is a controversial one. And that was also one of the aspects that was necessary to be elucidated and clarified. And we were going to raise that question when we were going to come to Tirana, because first of all, we know that it's not a question of the protection of one building. It is the protection of the ensemble, historical ensemble, large architectural ensemble of the architecture built in the 30s in the historical center of Tirana, that was protected and is protected by the national law as an ensemble. And the theatre is located in that area that is protected by the national law. So the saying that the building itself was not protected and that's why it could have been knocked down is simply not a valid legal consideration. The technical aspect of the stability of the building. We, as you very well know, many buildings, Hellas, were damaged or even collapsed during the terrible earthquake that recently took place in Albania. If there is any good signal that the structure of the theatre was not that weak, as some people want to say, is that the theatre didn't have any damage following the earthquake. So again, all this was necessary to study, and we were also going to suggest that there is an additional, very serious and evaluation of the state of the construction. But even if the construction was weak, the answer to that is not to send the bulldozers during the night on the last day of the epidemic with the people, activists inside the building, and just erase the building. The answer is to properly, scientifically, objectively analyze the building, and then see whether there are measures that the building can be made stronger and in effect renovated and giving a sort of prolonging the life with all its cultural significance for Tirana and for Albania. And your question about what makes a building of importance, for European importance, is not purely especially a building of a theater. You cannot judge it only purely from the point of view of a building, construction, and architecture. You have to look into the intangible values of such a building. It was a place of memory. It was a living memory, a living place of creation and creative encounters. It has been a place of intellectual, artistic life for many, many years. And many artists, the proof that many artists and journalists and activists were still sort of very closely connected with that building. So that means that it's the combination of these tangible and intangible values that made that place so special for Tirana, for Albania, but also for the wider region of the Balkans and Europe as a whole.
Please allow me to ask you a question that I hope will clarify a situation that is being debated in the latest days. The community of artists, the ones that protected and wanted the building to be preserved, they are saying that Europa Nostra promised funding for the reconstruction of the building, while the mayor of Tirana has said that he never heard of such an offer of finding the funds to invest on reconstruction. And also they're saying that maybe you as an organization would have helped to negotiate with banks for a loan or something that will help reconstruction. But what is the truth? Where is the truth stand in this regard? Did you offer funds to reconstruct the theater? How much, if this is the case, or what was your promise?
Thank you so much for asking this question, because I have very well heard that there is a lot of rumors and a lot of, alas, fake news that are also circulating in the aftermath of this brutal demolition of the theater. Europa Nostra has never offered and put on the table money, because simply Europa Nostra is not a funding organization. We are not a foundation. We are a civil society campaigning organization, expert organization, and our offer, and I will send to you a copy of the letter that was sent on the 17th of January. The same letter was sent to the mayor of Tirana, to the Prime Minister of Albania and to President of the Republic of Albania, informing them that the theater has been put on the short list of 14 sites of our list, and that there is a very big probability that it's going to be on the list of the 7, and that we are offering our expertise. We are offering to come and to talk to them and to all people concerned, all the civil society, also organizations and experts, and to find together the solution to save this building and to find whatever alternative solution for other development projects that are currently sort of discussed and planned for Tirana. So never ever we could have put sort of made false promises, because that is what some people are insinuating about putting the money. But what we can say, that Europa Nostra is an extremely respected and credible non-governmental organization that has been working for many years, for decades, with the institutions of the European Union. For almost 20 years, we are running the most prestigious European Heritage Awards program in Europe together with the European Commission. We have a very good collaboration, as I told you, with the Institute of the European Investment Bank. So once Europa Nostra is putting a site on the list of the 7 most endangered, it is an incentive to mobilize all the forces, public and private, to see how a certain place can be saved. And certainly because of the relationship that we have with the European Union, if there would have been a political will from the authorities in Albania, we certainly could have recommended to the European Commission and the European Union to consider providing funds. As you know very well, the European Union is providing a lot of funds to Albania, and so we do not have any doubt that they would have seriously looked into an application to provide funds for the renovation of the theatre. Instead, so we were offering, we didn't get any response to our letters on the 17th of January. I will send you a copy of these letters, and hélas, the response that we got is the bulldozers sent in the middle of the night last Sunday to just erase not only the building, but the interiors of the theaters with the costume, with the archives, will all the story has been just turned into rubble. We don't think that that was the answer that we were deserving and expecting from the authorities, and especially not we, it is the citizens of Albania that they deserved a different response from the authorities.
The mayor's office is saying that all the materials, the archive materials, the costume and the voices and everything has been restored before demolishing the building. But probably when you get in contact with them, you may get an official answer regarding this concern, which is actually a concern for everyone that loves the theatre and the memory of Albanian artists. But please allow me to ask you something else that I noted in the...
We are still expecting that they get in touch with us. I think that we have given sufficient sort of offering to get in touch. Nobody has ever. And if we got the wrong information, this is, I would be very pleased to hear that this is not the case, but somebody has to communicate with us in a different way than spreading some rumors in the media.
Also, you said that it was a sad day for Albanian and Europe culture and heritage on that Sunday morning when the National Theatre was demolished. But also you have said that you have asked to the EU to take note of this matter. What do you mean by that?
We have asked the EU to
take note of this development, let's say.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you refer to the letters that we also have sent to all the ministers of culture, because we thought that this is, once again, the role of a voice of civil society, European voice of civil society caring for cultural heritage. It is our role to raise that voice and to ring the alarm bell, and to make at least all the European institutions aware of that cultural tragedy that has happened in Tirana. And we have indeed written a letter to the ministers. They have had their meeting yesterday, and that was conveyed during the meeting, that in serious concern that we have expressed to them. But of course, you very well know it was not only Europa Nostra that has asked the EU to take note of this fact. The EU delegation has clearly declared on Sunday that they're deeply concerned on what has happened. And you know very well that the European Commissioner in charge of culture, Maria Gabriel, on Friday, last Friday, has also called, urgently called for dialogue with concerned experts, civil society, people and artists before any irreversible act is taken. So it has been not only the concern of the civil society, but also of the European Union institutions, and definitely such acts of such brutal demolition of an important cultural institution and historical building is something which is also be done not in accordance with the important principle of the rule of law, which is one of the fundamental values of the European project.
And the final question, what are the next steps? Unfortunately, the building per se no longer exists. What will Europa Nostra do now in order to continue and be with the artists that are now claiming they want justice for what happened, and also they want the reconstruction of the same identical building as it used to be? Will you support this claim?
We will continue to support what we have and to sort of recommend what we have been recommending from day one when we started to get involved with this case. And the main recommendation is that all people concerned have to be put around one table. There has to be a dialogue involving citizens, communities, civil societies in decisions, important decisions which concern their living environment and their identity and history, is one of the fundamental standards and principles that have been recognized by various European documents. And Albania has also signed and adopted European conventions, also of the Council of Europe, etc. So it is really a best practice. And we have been calling for that from day one. Alas, that didn't happen. And so even now that the building is not anymore there, we will continue to say that the way forward will never be to make a total to make a war between the authorities and the civil society, but rather to understand each other better and to involve as many people as possible, because this theater has become, in a sense, a heritage martyr, and it is going to be a wound for a long time, a wound, cultural wound, but also for the democracy in Albania is going to be a wound. So the only way to heal the wound is to open a dialogue. And it's never too late to open the dialogue. And it's never too late even for the authorities to say, we have made a mistake. Because it's still not known why it had to be demolished in the way it has been demolished. So to open the dialogue and indeed to look in all possible options, including the options of a rebuilding of the theater and the sort of redesigning of this square where the theater was located, with the respect of the memory and of the design of the wider area which is protected by law. So calling for dialogue is something that has always been an important message of Europa Nostra and will always continue to be.
Are you planning to visit Tirana anytime soon?
As soon as the travel restrictions are lifted, that is my great wish. To come not only to Tirana, to visit other heritage places, because as you know, Europa Nostra is concerned with all heritage in Europe. So I'm keen to come, and I hope to meet you on the occasion of my forthcoming visit, and not only mine, but also delegation of Europa Nostra.
Sneška Mihailović, Secretary General of Europa Nostra, thank you very much for talking to Euronews Albania.
Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.